Whitts Ranch, home of BKW Horsemanship LLC. Had a video today on saddles. I got my wonderful, beautiful assistant here, Dee. Dee is I think a 7-year-old quarter horse mare that she was born and bred on the ranch here. I've had her the whole time, so we're just going to do a little brushing first, of course. Always want to brush your horse to get off, of course, the dirt, loose hair, and it's also, well, hopefully it's an enjoyable thing for your horse, for you, but it's also a great time to really go over them with a fine-tooth comb, see if they've got any cuts or any kind of blemish or something going on, some sort of fungus, anything. See if they got any swelling, and that can all be done just by simply brushing them. Also, you can kind of just tell what sort of mind frame your horse is in. Are they fidgety? Are they sore? Fidgety doesn't necessarily mean anything. It can mean any number of things, but it's just a great time to get to know your horse. Even if you've known it for years, get your horse to know you. Set the tone, really. Some days I brush a little more, some days a little less. We're not quite into shedding season yet, so not having to deal with that just quite yet. Now, Dee's had a little bit later start in life as far as being ridden. I didn't say being worked with now, that's important, but being ridden. However, you can see she doesn't feel like she needs to leave or go anywhere. That's important to me. It's not anything special. I just literally grabbed her out of the pasture and started this video. Didn't do any groundwork, and away we go. That's the way it should be. So I know some horses that have been ridden for years that won't stand like this. Okay? That to me is real important. Real important. So let's just go over the saddle here. First, before we get to that, whole different thing when it comes to saddle pads, saddle blankets. We're just going to put this up on my horse for now, and we'll come to that. Here's a saddle pad. Real popular brand name. About as thick as I ever want to get it. I don't know for sure. At least an inch. Maybe 1.25 inches. Of course, over time, they compress a little bit. These type of saddle pads, you don't ever want to bend backwards. You don't ever want to put them upside down. Think of it as this like a book. You know, the binding of a book. You don't ever want to bend these books backwards. And you see that contour it has here. It's got a little leather piece on there for a little wear. A nice, especially with this thick a pad, cut out for the wither. That's important to me. I don't want that to bind down on the wither. You know, of course, you can see over time, this is what I'm talking about, how they will compress. That's where the cinch goes. That's just the way it's going to be. The front cinch, the back cinch, they're going to compress. And it kind of just gets worn in. You know, of course, you want to keep them clean. This one could use a little cleaning. You don't want this hair to build up so much in there, in the points there, but not too bad really overall. But it could use a cleaning. We'll just set this aside for now. Saddle blankets. I like wool. It breathes. It's, you know, they make different kinds of wools, but they might not be 100% wool, but something simple. We got a little sewing edge here to keep it from falling apart. Otherwise it's, I don't know, I couldn't tell you what thickness, very thin. Some leathers for wear, for where the cinch goes. Very simple. This is just another one without the leather wear for where the cinch goes. So, for example, if I'm just going to use my saddle blanket, I could go with 1 or 2. Now, if I go with 1, it probably won't be this one. There's nothing wrong with going with this one, but it's going to wear out because quicker because you don't have that leather protection. It's not for the horse, it's for the blanket. So it's just gonna wear out. A little thing to note sometimes, especially beginners, 99 times out of 100, maybe all of them, if you see a tag, tag tail. Okay, so if you put this on, the tag should face the tail. That way the leathers line up right. If you do it the other way, this wear leather is not going to be right. So a little hint there. Now, if I'm just riding her around in the arena, it's not going to be a necessarily long day. This is it right here. That's all she needs. And I know that because this saddle fits her. And we'll go over that in a minute, why I know that. Would it be wrong to also put this one on? It wouldn't. It'd be totally fine. Now, there's a lot of different reasons why you could put, you know the one that's going to be on the horse is, of course, is going to get the most wear or use, or I should say the most wear and the most dirt. This one's pretty clean. Could use a little cleaning, but it's pretty clean. So I could do that. Now I have, of course, double the thickness, but it's still less than ½ inch. It's less than ½ inch, well less than a ½ inch thickness total. We don't go by this thickness because that's not going to affect the fit, because your saddle tree, which we'll get in a minute, should fit right in here. Okay, so that's where the thickness of this blanket, if you can't see, I apologize, I'm a one-man operation here. So anyway, less than a ½ inch total thickness. That's all I need if my saddle fits, and if I'm just gonna go for a leisurely ride. Nothing, no big hills, not gonna rope, not gonna be on all day. So we'll just correct that real quick. She thought she had to go back. I'll say come forward, there we go. A little lick, a little chew. Now, if I'm going to rope, I like a little extra shock absorption, a little extra padding. And if I mean to rope and dally off. What I might do is put this straight on, that's okay. Or what I do is put one of these thin ones on. Now, of course, I put no, this would be all right, because we'll have the leather wears on this. And again, if I want to keep this longer and keep it cleaner, this is a good way to go. You don't want to do 2 pads, ever. I don't want to do, I would never put, say, 2 ½ inch, well, that wouldn't be all bad, but 2 inch pads, definitely not. You can over pad and make it worse. There we go. The wither has some pressure relief now, and I would make sure I'm nice and even. Now I'd throw my saddle on and I could go rope, or I could go ride, or I could go up in the hills, or now I got a little extra shock absorption there. I could also do that if I got a higher withered horse. That might help. That'd be really about the only reasons I would pad thicker like that. Otherwise, I generally, and this will change. I think this changes a little bit of the fit, a little bit. It's going to lift some things off, but it's not going to fix problems. It's not going to fix problems. So what do I mean? What do I mean by that? Okay, bear with me here. I'm going to take. So we went over the saddle pads, saddle blankets. I like a good quality wool. You can buy those less expensive ones. However, make sure they breathe. Make sure they breathe. So you could even put something like this on, and then one of those less expensive pads. Okay, this may or may not be familiar to you, is this here. This is the quilted part of a quilted leg wrap. So you'd put this, wrap it around their leg, and then you would take some of those polo wraps and wrap them for various reasons. A lot of times they used to do them when they haul horses. Don't know if you see these as much, I don't know. This is a great way to fix troubles you might have with your saddle, not fitting. Okay? And the best way to show that, Most of the times when I find, well, first let's talk about what's a fitting saddle. Okay, that'd probably be the best. Now, normally, this is how I like my saddle. It's on a rack, even if it's on the fence rail. If I have to, I will take, especially if I'm starting a colt or something, and I need to bring the saddle out in the middle, and I'll take it on end like this and rest it, but we won't do that. I'd rather have it on a rack, so then I know no burrs or dirt or anything is going to get in there. Now we'll go ahead, sacrilegious to some of you, we're going to put this on without a pad. Now if you're trying a new saddle out, you could put one of those blankets on like I showed, or something real thin, so your new saddle doesn't get dirty. Okay. So when most saddles don't fit, pull this out of there for you, girl. What the problem happens is there's a pressure point here and a pressure point here, so you have 4 pressure points, 2 on this side, 2 on the other. Good way to find out if your saddle fits, apply light pressure down, because I'm going to put my hand, I like to go underhand, not like this, because I like to feel better underhand. But I've got to have some pressure down, because what I'm trying to do is see how far I can get until I hit something if I do. Well, in this case, I get up to here. From here, I get up to here on the skirt now before I touch something with my fingers. That's a good thing. That's the tree. This was a rawhide covered, a fiberglass covered wood tree. This is a rope saddle, so it's going to be a little stouter tree to handle all the roping. That's a good thing. That means I don't have what they call bridging. When you have a point here and a point here only touching, you're going to have a bridge, a gap. That's where this comes in. You can fix a lot of problems by this. Now, this is a crash course. I'm no expert. I'm no saddle maker. I'm no expert in saddle fit. But my experience has showed me that this is usually a problem, if there's going to be a problem, and if it can be helped. This is a great fix. You can see about how wide that is. That kind of fits in between the pressure points here, where if there was any. So what that's doing is this is filling in your gap. It's filling in your bridge to lift. This needs to be free right here. See how free that is? Her scapula comes back way to here. That moves. There's a lot of movement in that scapula right here. Okay, this whole shoulder is huge. But this comes back here. This moves. And it kind of goes back and forth and almost in and out a little bit. And then I want to stay off their back here, their kidneys and everything. You see, hopefully, how easy. Now, we're not talking about the skirt. Skirt will move. That's immaterial, because you can make more of a rounded skirt. So we're not talking about that. I'm feeling where this tree ends. And I can put my hand right through there. That's good. I want free movement back there, but I want to stop there. Now, make sure you're not doing, people do this all the time. Oh yeah, it's good. Oops. Something else to get over. They'll go up here and I'll lift up on this. Oh yeah, it's good. No. Because, first of all, you're going to have your cinch, of course. Your stack cinch, your front cinch. That should hold the saddle down, plus your weight. So you won't be able to lift that up. So put downward pressure, and then you can kind of feel, like here, see how free that is? Hopefully you can see that. Now, this is the thing. Now, if I add too much pad, and especially depending on how far forward and back, I'm going to restrict that. That's why it's important to me not to put too much pad. And every horse is a little different. You get to know them. So that's a crash course in saddle fit. Free movement here. Now a lot of saddles, you'll stop there. You stop there. That means your gap is probably in here. That's where it's free on them. Well, you want that tree to sit on down there. And I'll see if I can't show you the tree on this. Now this is wool. I like real wool. So that in itself is some padding. was redone a few years ago. Make sure if it starts getting bare, it's time to redo them. Here's the tree right here. Okay, it's not there, it's there. And it goes all the way to here. And there's the front of it, and you can see then there's another inch or so from the end of the tree to the skirt. And this particular saddle, which is my preference, talk about the rigging. This is rigged to the tree. See how far we can get here. I like a decent back a little bit so that my cinch isn't up in here. That elbow here, this back of the shoulder, it moves. Kind of want the cinch to sit right in there. So, won't be able to see it. This is, if you look real hard, you won't see it, and I can barely see it, but I can see my stirrup leather goes around the tree. There's my tree. This is rigged straight to my tree. That's the way I like it. Both of them, by the way. Some I've seen, I don't know. Won't be able to see it, but this D, there's a rivet, and there's some leather pieces, and they're wrapped around, and I can see my tree right here, and that's screwed in right there. That's the way I like them, right to the tree. The other way of going with the Western saddle is skirt. So, as the name implies, everything, all the D and everything would be in the skirt. I don't like that as much. I like my saddle anchored. I like my rigging anchored to the tree. That's my main concern, is the tree anyway. All this is mostly immaterial, of course. We haven't talked about your ground seat and all that, but the main thing is this tree has to fit. If that tree doesn't fit, it won't work. So, I like a rigging that's in the tree. I don't know how to put this, but it kind of reminds me of, this is your anchor points here, and this is your boat. Are you going to put the anchor on the outside edge of the boat, or are you going to put it on something on the frame of the boat? So that's what this is. The tree is the frame, is the foundation, is the saddle. That's what I like. Now, I do have one saddle with the in-skirt rigging. I knew the brand, and some, especially with rope saddles, some in-skirts, you could pull that loose. You imagine over time. But I actually prefer, and there's a lot of saddles I would not buy if it's in skirt, because you attach it here and you can still have all kinds of movement, see? But if you attach it here, you got her anchored down pretty good. So anyway, that's what I like. That's what's worked for me. Talk about cinches a little bit. I've changed over the years with this. Kind of come back full circle, actually, right? You're being a really good assistant. Okay. Front cinch, back cinch. I would say probably over 99% of Western saddles are rigged with a front cinch and a back cinch now. And a lot of times if your saddle doesn't have a back cinch, it's because you didn't put one on. If they're designed to put a back cinch on, put it on. There's a design for that reason. Put your back cinch on. And especially some of these giant saddles they're making now and how far back they're getting. We'll get into that in a minute. Here's the other thing. See how my cinches are tied up? I know that's not going to be dragged through the sand, the snow, the whatever, cactus. Tie that up. That way I know I'm never slapping my horse or myself or someone else either. Tie these cinches up. Okay. Leather back cinch. That's going to change over time, I think. It's time for a new back cinch. This is mohair cinch now. Needs to be cleaned. Getting a little hair build up. Yeah, needs to be cleaned. But see all these individual little strands here? See in between? Even when it gets tight? See how much movement? It's all like little individual fingers wrapping around your horse's body for, I think, a better fit. And of course, you get some air through there. You get some circulation, right? You don't want your horses getting too hot in there. And I used to have these all the time. Now, a lot of them might have been maybe cotton. You know, you kind of do get what you pay for. These are probably getting around the, at least the $80. It's just a plain one. The $80 mark, I'm guessing, but they last a while. Well worth it. Now, I could do a whole different video on how you clean these, but it's not a hard process. I do like these cinch safes. They protect my horse a little more from the buckle. Sheepskin, just like this, and leather. Okay, it's a little extra added thing. I do like them. I've got them on all my cinches. Now a little bit of movement back to having the mohair on the back cinch. I think that's a great thing because this is done. This is all cracked up. Probably didn't maintain it the best. And there's probably some heat that does get underneath there. But you see the width on these rope back cinches. Boy, it's almost the same. In fact, yeah, almost wider in the front. And that's to disperse that weight out a little bit. I can't stand them tiny little back cinches on a rope saddle and then you expect to dally onto something, because you want to talk about torque. You need your back cinch tight for so many reasons. I put them as tight as the front. That's what I've done. Do you need to get your horse used to that? Oh yeah, you better. You better do a little groundwork with it if they've never had it, sure. But once you do it, maybe a few more times, they'll get used to it, trust me. Especially people that start horses. I don't know why you wouldn't want to put both. It's all foreign to them, so you might as well get them used to it. Everything's going to be different for them, so put both cinches on. Don't wait. Put the front and back cinch on, because they might be good at the front, and then you'll all of a sudden go a month later, oh geez, I need to put a back cinch on, and forget. Anyway, so that's the front and the back cinch right there. Back cinch is so important. I don't care if you rope. I don't care if you are just a trail rider. Trail riders are great. I trail ride a lot. Go out here and just ride around. So if you go down any little hill at all, your horse goes down, you feel it, does that. You don't want that, because guess what? Oh yeah, there's a lot of room under here now, but guess where it goes to? Right there. A lot of people wonder why the horse starts bucking when they go downhill or go uphill. That's why. That's a lot of the reason. Can you imagine how that feels? Plus, that's especially when they need this scapula, when they need that free. And it might shock them too, all of a sudden, that pinches on them. So you can just imagine roping too, how important that is. I don't mean just taut, like I want that thing to not do this right here. That's as much movement as I want right there, because my saddle is designed to fit just like that, okay? Okay? That's how my saddle is designed to fit. I'll take the cinches down for a better look. Sorry about that, girl. Okay, clear that up there. Step up so we can see here. Okay. So what I mean by that, I'll square my horse up. That's how it's designed to fit. Level. That's the other thing where you can look. If you look at a saddle on a horse and it looks like this, just sitting there, and that horse isn't like that, it doesn't fit. It's digging in. See? Look at that. I'm stuck. Okay, and that's a good visual too, of just tipping this up a little bit. This front end. I'm stuck. Well, now I'm not. See? Just that little bit. There's no exaggeration there. Free movement, stuck. Just by tipping this up half inch, an inch. Now, yeah, it's going to be a little different if you put, like I said, that's why wear a saddle pad when I'm roping. You probably get a little leeway in there, but still, why wouldn't you want to put the back cinch on? See, I'm stuck. I'm going to put the back end back down. I'm free. Okay. So that's why this is so important. It's not decoration. If you got this right here and you got a D, the back cinch should be on. Now, why am I spending so much time on this? Well, because this has been going on for 20, 30 plus years, I'm sure at least, but what I've witnessed, at least that long, where people, or I won't do it, or they're up here, and then you can stick your head through there and imagine what kind of wreck that's going to be when they stick a foot through getting a fly or you know, some brush or who knows what. Why wouldn't you? And if you're afraid your horse is going to buck, you're just going to have to get through that stuff. And if you don't know how to get through it, ask someone to help you that knows how to. So that's pretty much it. Saddle fit for a crash course 101. I prefer in fact, I more than prefer, I won't really buy any more saddles in the in-skirt rigging. I'm glad I bought the one. Just as kind of, I mainly bought just so I had a different tree as well. And I'll tell you, rope saddles are hard to find. Good ones are hard to find. You can find them. I shouldn't say that. They're out there. You can find them for $500. Sure. But you're usually with the saddles, you're going to get what you pay for. People always ask the brand. What I go more off of is, you know, there's some popular brands out there that I simply don't like. I don't think they fit the horse well personally. And the other thing is, so we didn't talk about how it fits a person at all, because to me, how it fits the horse is the most important. But a lot of these saddles, the way they put these stirrups, they set me far back here. Especially, look at how she responds to that. Isn't that nice? Now, if you watch any of my videos, you understand what she's doing. Right there. I asked her to move her hindquarters. That was beautiful. What a good assistant you are. Lost track. But anyway, the seat, the ground seat, how it fits, that's so important for the human, because if you're always feeling, you know, rocked, you're just never going to get comfortable. It's going to be miserable. A lot of knees. If your knees are bad, a lot of it could be the way you ride if you grip too much with your knees. But depending on how the saddle's made, I mean, this could be, you know, in-depth. Whoops, you all right? This could be an in-depth video, but I don't want to go that route. There's much more material that's more. They're going to know more than me about all the stuff on that. I can feel it immediately when I get in the saddle, though. I know that much. I can usually tell within a few seconds if it's going to fit my horse, and that just takes time. It can be a grueling process. I got to this point of knowing more what I want from getting on a lot of bad saddles and thinking they were okay, and they weren't. And you can really soar a horse up. It just drives me crazy that you got your foot out there like that. Let's go ahead and stand there square. You know, even some behavioral issues, we'll call them not training issues, just behavior, like, why is my horse acting so funny? Well, if you're getting pinched, you're going to act funny. Now, here's the thing about saddle fit too, is don't always expect immediate results. So, for example, if I put one of these pads on to help my horse, it might take your horse a little bit of time to figure out that, oh, that's not bothering me anymore. And it might feel like, oh, this feels good, and they might even be, you know, a little humpy. I've had that happen. Or maybe you don't want to do anything too drastic. There's some horses that need this much help. So but I won't do that right away. I'll go out to this, and then over time I'd go to that, because it feels different to them. And people kind of equate, well, that's bad. No, it just might take some time if your horse is used to that pressure. So that's basically it. I thought I'd do a video because I talk a lot about other things, but this right here, if your saddle doesn't fit, there's some things you can do to help. I don't think I'm ever going to fix it with my pad. Meaning, I will never think a saddle pad's going to fix my issues. I don't care how much gel they put in there. I don't care if you can take a hammer and knock some things through that gel and they don't break. That's not how it works. It's gravity, and unless you can somehow get anti-gravity in those pads, there's still going to be pressure points. I don't like a bunch of relief shoulder things or added, especially the added stuff. Now, there's some pads where you can shim a horse and you can pull out a little Velcro thing, a pocket. You can add certain shims. Great. I haven't had luck with those. For one, you got to always make sure your saddle's perfectly sitting on those. And I think I think that's a great option to look into. Just look into very expensive, but and not all shims are the same. There might be you might have a buildup or a thick here and then a thinner here. This has worked pretty well for me. It might be something you want to try if you know that And the other thing is, always remember, you pad away from the pressure. What does that mean? Well, if you have pressure here in the front, don't put the pad there. If you don't have any pressure where you need it, put the pad there. It might be this much, it might be that much. It all depends on the situation. Now, why wouldn't you put a pad? They used to sell, they probably still do. I looked for every solution I could find on a horse I had, and man, I tried everything on this horse to try and fit him years and years ago. For one thing, my saddle severely didn't fit him, as I know now. But they had they called it, I think, a wither pad. It was basically a short 6-inch wide pad that was attached with some nylon straps, and there's two sides of it. Basically, they wanted you to put it here. Okay, well, maybe that makes sense. Well, it's tight here, so if I put a pad in here, that should lift it up, right? No, it didn't. In fact, it didn't work. That was a disaster. But I was trying something different. I didn't know where to go to information back before the internet and YouTube days. So if you think about it, anytime you think about trying to help alleviate any possible saddle fit issues, think of it this way. Is something tight, and are you trying to add extra to it? So let's say my shoe was tight. Should I add an extra sock, thicker ones, or should I try and get thinner? Think of it that way. If you add an extra one, it's going to make it worse. So I want less pressure here. There still has to be, of course, a saddle blanket there. And then, so I might want to add here. Okay, hopefully that makes some sense. So for me, it really is about keeping it simple and try to think logically through it. And of course, try to get some reputable help, because a lot of people have ideas in saddle fit. Saddle makers are a good place to go, as long as they're not always trying to push their stuff. I mean, the other thing too, when it comes to this, let's watch this a little bit now. See if you can, I don't know if the video is going to pick this up. Watch the top of my horn. See how much it came up? Now that means this all came up. Now she doesn't have bad posture, but I just simply asked her to lift her back. And that's what I'm trying to do when I'm riding. That's why, not all the time, but for true collection for me, is that they do have to lift their back some. Even now when she walks, you can see how that lifts. Look at that right there. So the condition of the horse, it's a snowball effect. If your saddle doesn't fit, you're going to start atrophying those muscles, which in turn, that means your saddle's going to fit worse. So, if you notice all of a sudden, gee, it seemed like my saddle fit okay, and now it doesn't. There's probably something you want to follow up there. That's probably a good instinct, because I remember noticing that and feeling that at times where, boy, sometimes it feels like it fits worse. And it makes sense, right? If something's poking on them and pinching on them and restricting them, those muscles will atrophy. So those muscles, I've had that in other videos where you have to get those muscles working again, and that's for a whole different thing. But you can simply see, hopefully, just by asking her to lift here, how much that might be, just even if it's 1/8 of an inch more movement in there, that's much better than 1/8 of an inch less. So, I mean, you can't, I really don't feel like you can constantly ask a horse to always do that. But, you know, and it doesn't mean then as soon as you quit asking, they should drop back down. Because they need rest. So, you know, if I'm going to go out on a trail ride for, you know, 3-4 hours, I'm probably asking a total spread throughout the 4 hours, an hour of asking the horse to do certain things. That doesn't mean I'm sprinkling some other exercises, maybe a little bit. It all depends on the situation of the horse, but you don't want to drive them crazy. And I can't go around perfect all day either, but I should be reminded to try and do that too. Eat a little better, stand up a little straighter, get a little better steps, but once in a while, you also got to rest a little bit. So hopefully that helps. You know, some of the saddle fitting issues can be helped. Well, always is good with correct horsemanship, correct groundwork, the horse's back. All the horses, these horses have different backs, and you know, I hopefully went over a little bit how you can correct some saddle fitting issues. I am no expert, like I said. I am no saddle maker. I am just relating to you my experience of what has helped. Some saddle fits cannot be helped. Some saddle fits, most saddle fits won't be truly helped until you get the horse in the correct frame, the correct muscling, correct posture, collection, all that stuff. So even if you do all this, you gotta improve what you're doing if all your horses seem to be not fitting the saddles. And I'm included in that years ago. It didn't matter necessarily. I mean, it sure gave them some relief, but then as they got better, the saddle fit got better. And then it's a snowball effect in a positive way too. It's just easier for them to pick their back up and step their shoulders out more and in. So it can be quite a journey to try and find the correct saddle. Now again, I haven't ridden her very long, but I've worked with her for a while, and you can see hopefully how that has paid off, because there's a lot of horses I deal with that come here, or I work with people that they've been riding them a long time, but I simply could not do a demonstration. It's real important for me that a horse can do this. First of all, they should just, it's a responsive thing. She's responding to what I want. And it's just also being comfortable with me too. So, little thing on that. Now, a crash course on saddle fit, a little evening with Dee here. Jay wanted to hang out, her full brother, but he'll have to wait his turn. So you can kind of see why working with a horse is so important, that they just be comfortable in their own skin. And then, yeah, just doing things like that, how nice she responded there. There you go. All right, well, thanks for watching this video. It really helps me if you subscribe to these videos. So as you're watching this right now, on the page somewhere, it should say subscribe. If you could click that, and then there's a notification bell. It looks like a Liberty Bell type thing. If you click on that, you'll be notified then when my next videos are loaded. I've had some people contact me to ask, which is fine, but it's hard to get back to people, and it's just easier to subscribe to the videos. That helps me out a ton. If you subscribe, that way I'll kind of keep doing. The other thing is, if you got any questions at all, leave them in the comment section below this video. I do look at them all eventually. It takes some time to get these videos uploaded and done, but I eventually look at them all so far, and I appreciate any comments or anything. If you got any questions, if there's a video you want me to go over something specific, chances are someone else wants to know the answer to that question. So if you want to ask those questions, that's great. So Dee and I thank you for watching the video.